Now, to begin our coverage over Superman Doom, we are only going to cover the prelude to this event in this video right here. But with that being said, we actually do pick up with Doomsday himself. Now, with Doomsday, we see him right now just standing in the middle of the Arctic. Now, with that being said, we do come to find out that there is a group of people right now watching him very closely. Now, this group of people is basically that new organization, the Tower. Now, we have not learned much about the Tower just yet, but we will as we go on with our coverage over Superman Doom. But with that being said, though, the Tower does tell us that apparently Doomsday had escaped the Phantom Zone. Now that right there is very interesting because when it comes to the Phantom Zone, it's somewhere where usually Superman puts his toughest bad guys in because it is an alternate dimension. It's somewhere where Superman once again puts the toughest villains from his rogue gallery into because he knows if something happens to him, those villains could technically wreck Earth completely. And so the best way to make sure they never do escape is the Phantom Zone. But now apparently somehow Doomsday found a way to escape the Phantom Zone. Now you do have Doomsday go ahead and kill a couple of citizens who were just walking around, had nothing to do with Doomsday being able to escape the Phantom Zone. But now the next question is, what is Doomsday going to do next that he's now free from the Phantom Zone? Now, some time has passed by since the Arctic scene, but we actually do pick up with Doomsday right now underwater. Now, the Tower is still watching him very closely. They want to know more about him, study him, and learn what he is actually capable of. Now, we know what he can do. He's technically just as strong as Superman, maybe stronger, and he can kill Superman if he wanted to. But either way, though, we do see Doomsday right now underwater. Now, the Tower is just supposed to observe him, to study him, to see what he is going to do. But that is the moment the higher-ups in the organization tell the people who are watching Doomsday to bring him in, to bring in this creature. Now, we all know that right there is not gonna go so well for them. But of course, they're just following orders. But that's the moment you have Doomsday just go ahead and wreck their submarine. He wrecks everything on there, killing almost every single of that team who is watching him. And of course, now the world knows, not really the world, the Tower knows they just released a powerful being known as Doomsday. Somebody who has the ability to actually kill Superman if it actually comes down to it. Now, getting into the second chapter of this book, we do pick up with a random couple. Now, I do want to mention one thing. When I first saw this couple and saw how much text went into explaining this couple's past lives and their past relationships with one another, I thought these characters were actually going to be very important for this storyline. But unfortunately, they are not. And the reason why I say that is because while you have these two characters right now on their honeymoon on this random island, well, that is the moment something begins to come out of the water to possibly grab the lady of this relationship. Now, of course, we can already tell it has something to do with Doomsday, but of course, something is different about Doomsday this time. Now, getting over to Smallville, we actually pick up with the army in Smallville, and we also pick up with Samuel Lane. Now, of course, Samuel Lane is the father to Lois Lane. But either way, though, you do have Samuel Lane in Smallville trying to figure out what in the world is going on there. And the reason why I say that, because the people in Smallville, they all have fell into a coma, which is very weird to see. One person, maybe. Two, even maybe. Three, you're pushing it. But now you're talking about a whole town of people who just randomly fell into a coma. And so right now the big question is, what is happening in Smallville? Now you do have Superman arrive by. He's kind of like, hey, what's going on? And you have Samuel say, hey, dude, listen, everyone in Smallville is in a coma and we have no way to wake them up. But of course, you do have Samuel Lane tell Clark Kent, aka Superman, did he see what happened in the crop fields? And of course, that means he must fly over there to see, maybe, just maybe, there is a message left behind in the crop field. Now, while you have Superman actually flying over to the crop field to see what happened over there, well, that is the moment he is confronted by the Eradicator. Now, the Eradicator in the New 52 is completely different from the pre-New 52. What I mean is that we first met the Eradicator back in our storyline known as Krypton Returns. But in that storyline, we learn that the Eradicator is really the soul of the planet. When the planet is about to die, the Eradicator appears to make sure the planet dies with him. And so, of course, there was an Eradicator on Krypton, and that Eradicator was sent here by Superboy on accident on that time travel mission. But the Eradicator is here to tell Superman that the Earth is going to die, and there is nothing he can do to possibly save the Earth before it dies. Now, of course, you do have Superman wondering, okay, if the Earth dies, then how does it die? What leads to the end of the Earth? And that is the moment you have our mysterious character, the Eradicator, tells Superman, the Earth is going to die because of you, my friend. Now, to make matters even worse, we actually do pick up with Lois Lane. Now, the reason why I say things are about to get a whole lot worse because of Lois Lane is because Lois Lane, remember, she got powers thanks to the Cyborg storyline. In that storyline, Lois Lane was working on a story where 20 people just had disappeared just like that. And those 20 people had a connection to Brainiac. And they were trying to warn the Earth that Brainiac is going to come back and this time try to capture the entire Earth as a whole. Now, with that being said, though, one of the 20 did give Lois Lane his powers so that she'll be able to have proof for her story when she released it. The problem was, though, when she gained those powers, it put her in a coma. But of course, it evolved her mind. It changed her mind. And so when she wakes up, she seems like she's being normal or she has no more powers. But in reality, she still does. And of course, right now, she is a secret agent for Brainiac because Brainiac is on his way back to Earth once again to complete the mission he left off at the last time he came to Earth and fought against Superman. Now, we actually do pick up with Superman himself right now in the Fortress of Solitude. Now, the reason why he's in the Fortress of Solitude because he got word that Doomsday is around. And so he's trying to use his computer system as a way to locate Doomsday and to hopefully stop Doomsday. Now, here comes another problem for Superman, and that is the city of Condor. Remember, the city of Condor was captured by Brainiac a long time ago, right before Krypton blew up. And of course, Superman was able to get that city away from Brainiac and bring it back to Earth. But they're still trapped inside the container that Brainiac had them in when Brainiac was going around collecting different planets. But with that being said, these characters were in stasis. The Kryptonians in the city of Condor were in stasis, but now they're not. Something woke them up, and we know what it was. Of course, it is Brainiac. Brainiac is coming to Earth. Now, you do have Cyborg call up Superman and tell him, hey, listen, I found Doomsday, but here's the big problem, though. Where I found Doomsday yet, or where he was at, he's no longer there. That dude just caused a lot of damage on a random island in the middle of the ocean. And remember, earlier in this chapter, we saw a couple that were on their honeymoon and then something out of the water grabbed them. That something was Doomsday, but Doomsday killed the entire island, destroyed everything there. And so it's Cyborg telling Superman, you need to hurry up and find Doomsday before this gets even worse. Now, the next day, we actually do see the military trying to fly into that island to get a better look to see what actually happened to the people on that island when Doomsday attacked. We know what happened. They all died. But either way, you do have the military flying in. The problem is, though, when the two jets begin to get closer and closer to Doomsday, something begins to happen to their jet. Doomsday is not moving at all. He is just standing there in the middle of the island. And for some reason, the jets can't get close to him. Their system begins to crash. They're about to crash into one another. And so right when it looks like they're about to die from crashing into one another, you do have Superman fly in and save them. And when he does, he takes them back to the Navy base. The big question is, though, how was Doomsday able to destroy two jets without moving at all? But for some reason, when they got close to him, their systems began to crash and the jets almost crashed into one another. And that is the moment we actually see that for some reason, when the pilots got closer and closer to Doomsday, something happened to their face as well. Because when the pilots take their helmets off, their face, their head is completely burned. It's like around Doomsday, the temperature is so high that nothing is able to get close to him. Just maybe Superman, and that is it. And so that could explain how the jets began to fall apart and why their systems began to crash and they almost crashed into one another, because the radius around Doomsday is so hot right now. The temperature is so high, nothing can literally get close to him except Superman himself. And so you have Superman fly over to see what happened to the island, because Doomsday is gone now. And when he gets there, he realized how many people have died, how many lives he could have saved if he just got there sooner. Now, you do have Superman meet up with Dr. Veritas. Now, Dr. Veritas has been around for a long time in our coverage over the New 52, especially in our Superman videos and occasionally in our Supergirl videos. But either way, she's here to talk to Superman about Doomsday, because what she just learned is that Doomsday is evolving. He's getting stronger and stronger by the minute. He's getting new powers by the minute. And nothing is really able to get close to him because he's releasing a lot of energy that raises the temperature around him. And so that explains what happened earlier to those jets. Now, she also tells Superman that there's no one on the planet that can actually stop Doomsday at all. Now, for Clark Kent, he's kind of like, well, except me, right? I'm the only one who can possibly stop him. And she says yes, but no. And the reason why no, because she said Doomsday is getting stronger. He is constantly evolving. And with him evolving, you will only last 10 minutes against him. That is it. After that, you'll be dead. Meaning that if you want to stop Doomsday, you have to kill him. That is your only option. If you want to stop him, you have to kill Doomsday. Now, we do jump back over to Smallville, where we actually pick up with Lana Lang. Now, remember, Lana Lang is the old-time friend of Clark Kent when he was growing up in Smallville. Now, with that being said, remember, in Smallville, every single person there had apparently fell into a coma. Now, the reason why Lana Lang did not fall into a coma is because she was not in the city. She was somewhere else. But she's coming back here because her family, her parents, are still living in Smallville. And they had apparently fell into a coma. Now, the problem is, though, she is unable to get into the city because the military had quarantined the whole place, saying no one is allowed to go in there. Now, of course, she does get a free ride inside when Lois Lane appears, because Lois Lane is using her father, Samuel Lane, as a way to break through the barrier to get inside to see what is happening with Smallville. Lana Lang snuck into the vehicle while no one was looking, and as Lois drove in, Lois realized, oh, hey, Lana's here. Hey, Lana, I'm Lois. Who are you? This is the first time these two characters are meeting one another. Now, with that being said, though, it's them going to help each other figure out what is happening right now in Smallville. even though we know it has to do with something with Brainiac and possibly him coming to Earth. Now, while Lois and Lana are walking around to see what is happening to the people in Smallville, they're wearing hazmat suits just in case this whole coma thing could possibly affect them as well. Either way, we know there's no way possible. But you do have Lana find her parents. They were affected. They were put in a coma. And so now the big question is, what is happening in Smallville? Why are the people falling into a coma? What in the world is going on? Now, this is where things begin to get even crazier, because even though the storyline is called Superman Doom and is focusing on Superman and Doomsday, Brainiac is going to be the second big bad guy in this storyline. And the reason why I say that is because while you have Lana looking at her parents, trying to figure out how in the world they fell into a coma, Lois is using her powers right now to talk to somebody. Because remember, Lois Lane got powers back in War, and the whole War storyline was basically when 20 people disappeared because of Brainiac, because Brainiac gave those 20 people's psychic powers to get them ready for his return. One of those 20 gave their powers over to Lois Lane, but now she's one of the 20, which means she could possibly be working for Brainiac. Now we do jump over to a random jungle, and when we do, we actually pick up with these animals who are just minding their business. Well, some of them get eaten as well, but either way, while these animals are in the jungle just going through their natural lives, well, that is the moment you have Doomsday appear. And when he appears, Doomsday is just standing there. But with him just standing there, the area around him, the temperature is risen up. And with that, that means fires are started. Animals are killed instantly. The whole jungle is about to be wiped out with just Doomsday just standing in the middle of the jungle. And he continues to evolve and get stronger and stronger. But that is the moment we get introduced to another character for this whole Superman Doom event. And that other character is actually Steel, John Henry, aka Steel. Now, this is not our first appearance of Steel in the New 52. Matter of fact, he first appeared in earlier books. But for our coverage over Superman Doom, this is our first time meeting Steel in our coverage over Superman in the New 52. But either way, when it comes to John Henry, he has an armor that's basically made out of steel. And so when he sees what's happening right now in the middle of the jungle, he's kind of like, okay, I have to go out there and stop that. Whatever that is, I have to stop it, because if I don't, the entire jungle is about to get wiped out. So let me go out there and do my job. The problem is, though, when he tries to go up against Doomsday, Doomsday just one punched this man so far back. And thank God Steel has some kind of body armor, because with that body armor, Doomsday could have possibly killed Steel. But even with the body armor on, Steel's body is basically shattered. He has so many different injuries. His body is shaking. He's in so much pain right now. And he's realizing, oh my God, I messed up. I tried to fight against this creature, aka Doomsday, and I almost died. Now, he is luckily saved at the very last minute by Wonder Woman, the girlfriend of Clark Kent. Now remember what Dr. Veritas said earlier, that there is no one on the planet who could most likely survive against Doomsday except Superman. And so even though Wonder Woman, who's usually almost on the same level as Superman, she cannot stand a chance against Doomsday at all. And so with all that information being told to you guys right now, of course you should know that when she tries to fight against Doomsday, she gets her butt kicked. Now, when she touches him as well, some kind of virus runs through her body. And that virus came from Doomsday. And so it's Doomsday continuing to evolve, getting stronger, getting new powers, finding new ways to cause doom on this planet. But with that, you do have Superman appear. Now, as soon as he appears, there's a small little fight between the two characters, but Doomsday just disappears. He disappears. For some strange reason, he does not want to fight against Superman at the moment. And so he uses what seems like the Phantom Zone portals as a way to teleport away from Superman and Wonder Woman. And so you have Superman take his girlfriend somewhere else so that she can heal up after her injuries, especially Steel as well. Now, we do pick up with Superman talking to the Justice League. And of course, they're talking about how in the world can they stop Doomsday? Because almost every single person that has talked to Superman said, if you want to stop him, you have to kill him. And that is something Superman does not want to do. He does not want to kill. He hates the idea of killing. But of course, you have almost everyone trying to find a different way, but there's not a different way. And that is the moment you have Lex Luthor actually chime in. He says, listen, if you want to stop Doomsday, you have to kill him. Because right now, what he's doing, he's going around killing things. But actually, he's absorbing life from those things to get stronger, to get even more powerful. And when he's just powerful enough, he will go after the one thing he wants to kill. And that is you. He wants to kill you, Superman. And so you have Lex say, listen, you have two options. It's one, you can kill him. Or two, you leave the planet. Leave Earth so that this creature will follow you. And when he follows you, that will save us. But those are your two options. So what are you going to do? And really, it seems like Clark is about to leave the Earth, or most likely just try to kill Doomsday himself. Now, before Superman leaves or tries to go fight against Doomsday once again, he does say goodbye to the two people on the Justice League he cares about the most. First off, Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. We should have known that at this point, these two are like best friends. But you do have Superman giving Batman a key to the Fortress of Solitude to show that they are very close to one another, and Clark Kent looked at Batman as a brother. Now, the second person he says goodbye to is Wonder Woman because, well, at this point in the New 52, they're dating one another. But it's him saying, listen, I love you. I'm going to come back, hopefully. If I don't, you always know I love you. They kiss, and that's their goodbye right there. Now, this is where we are going to wrap up today's video because we do pick up with Superman fighting against Doomsday. Now, this fight does go on for a very long time. There are so many different pages, but the reason why, because it's Superman thinking why he's doing this. Why is he fighting against Doomsday? What is pushing him to make sure he's able to actually stop Doomsday? Because while he's fighting against Doomsday, he's thinking about Batman, Wonder Woman, Lois, Jimmy, Perry, even Lana Lang, everyone that he basically built some kind of friendship or a relationship with. He wants to protect them. He wants to protect the Earth. He's thinking about his Earth parents who had already died at this point in the New 52. It's him saying, I will make sure Doomsday will stop here. I will make sure to end him one way or another. And so with their fight, it goes back and forth, back and forth. But remember what Dr. Veritas said earlier. Superman can most likely only survive 10 minutes against Doomsday, meaning that Superman needs to wrap up this battle very quickly, because if he doesn't, those 10 minutes are gone and he'll be dead. And so with the fight, it continues and continues. And even when it looks like he might lose to Doomsday, because Doomsday has that virus ability that begins to slow down Superman, he keeps fighting, but he realized the only way to stop Doomsday is to kill him. And so you have Superman just rip Doomsday in half. And that is the death of Doomsday. And that is the moment the world have basically saw Superman kill someone. And this is to begin today's video, we actually pick up where our last video left off at. Now remember, at the very end of our last video, we watched Superman basically kill off Doomsday, which was very huge to see. Now, with that being said, Superman did pass out from exhaustion. And so with that, right now he's dreaming. But with him dreaming, he's having this dream where he's basically Doomsday and he's killing everyone. But when he wakes up, he realized it was a dream, that he was not Doomsday. He's not Doomsday. He's still his regular Clark Kent self, but he knows that something is wrong deep inside of him. Now remember, when he killed Doomsday right smack middle of Smallville. And right now in Smallville, there's another problem going on, which is that every single person that was living in Smallville had apparently fell into a coma, and no one has any idea why. Now, with that being said, getting back onto Superman, when he wakes back up, he looks around and see where he is at. That is the moment you have the Justice League actually take him away to hopefully help him heal, but to also make sure that nothing is wrong with him thanks to his fight against Doomsday. Now, remember, at this point in DC Comics, DC was trying to take Lex Luthor and actually make him a good guy. It was a slow progress, but at this moment right here, it truly began the moment we saw Lex Luthor trying to show the world that he could possibly be a good guy. But the reason why Lex Luthor is here is because Senator Lane, Lois Lane's father, basically wants to make sure that Superman will not turn evil and make sure he is okay. And of course, with Lex Luthor being there, he sees Superman right now bleeding and covered in the guts of Doomsday. But anyways, though, that is the moment you have Superman mind just go into a dark place. What I mean is that he begins to think about killing off Lex Luthor, something Superman would never do. And so with that being said, when he comes back to, he's kind of like, did I just think that? Did I just think about killing Lex Luthor? Like, he bothers me and I know I can't trust him, but like, why would I do that? Why in the world would I think about killing him so much? Like, it's something I would enjoy. And so you actually have Superman fly away. Now, as he's flying away, you do have Superman tell Batman that something is wrong with him, but he doesn't trust Lex Luthor nor Senator Lane. He wants to figure this out by himself, and so that is why he flew away. But he told Batman something is wrong, and that right there shows you that Batman actually does trust Superman. And he's kind of like, okay, go. I'll make sure there's no evidence of Doomsday left here, nor you. But go ahead and go and try to figure out what in the world is wrong with you. Now, you would think that Superman would go to the Fortress of Solitude. It's the best place for him to finally sit down and try to think everything through. The problem is, though, he can't make it that far. He's still too tired. And so he crash lands in Alaska. Now, with that being said, he is greeted by Crypto, the Superdog. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm a huge Crypto Superdog fan. Anyways, though, you have Crypto kind of standing around him, making sure that he is okay, bringing him food. But again, it's Superman kind of knowing that something is wrong with him. Yes, he is exhausted from that fight against Doomsday, but the solar energy should be giving him some kind of energy at this point, and it's not. And that right there scares him very much, but things get even worse. And the reason why I say things are about to get worse is because that is the moment you have two random hunters appear. And these two random hunters are basically trying to hunt down a wolf. Now, you do have Superman try to step in and stop these guys, especially with them using guns. But the problem is, though, these guys thought it would be a good idea to use their guns on Superman, which to me is kind of like, why would you try that? But either way, that is the moment you have Superman just black out. But when he comes back to, he realized that he had completely destroyed those guys' helicopter, but he almost killed them as well. And luckily, he came back to after blacking out before he actually did kill him. And he knows that when he was blacked out, he was full of anger and he was going to kill those guys. But luckily, he stopped himself. But then we pick up with John Henry, aka Steel. Now remember, Steel is a guy who just basically wears a steel armor, and that is it. Now, in our last video, he tried to fight against Doomsday, and he lost. I mean, this dude got wrecked by Doomsday. But with that being said, though, you do actually have him meeting up with Senator Lane after Senator Lane was able to give Steel a new kind of steel armor. Now, with that being said, you do have Senator Lane tell John Henry that they need to go capture Superman and to bring him back here to make sure that he is okay. Now, John Henry knows that he cannot trust Senator Lane because he knows that General Lane does not like Superman at all. That he does not like Superman at all. And so with that, John Henry knows that Senator Lane wants to lock up Superman. He's kind of like, I will not help you do that because he is a good hero. But with that being said, you have Senator Lane tell John Henry, you do not understand. Superman inhaled particles that were released from Doomsday. Those particles, we have no idea what they could possibly do to Superman. And so with that being said, we need you to go capture him because sooner or later, things could get worse. And you have John Henry say, I don't know, but I do know one thing. This facility that you want to lock him up in was made to hold criminals, not heroes. Now, we do jump back over to Smallville with Lana Lang and Lois Lane. Because remember, in Smallville, everybody that was living in there fell into a coma. And Lana Lang's parents were living in there. And so, of course, they fell into a coma. And so she is trying to figure out what happened to her parents. But with that being said, she takes off her quarantine outfit because she knows the area is safe. Superman made sure the area was safe. And so you have Lana Lang staying in Smallville to try to figure out how to save her parents. On top of that, you have Lois Lane leave. But let's not forget, there is something up with Lois Lane. I'll explain here later on in this video. But getting back over to Superman, because remember, he apparently absorbed some kind of particles that came out of Doomsday. And so with that being said, those particles are actually changing him. He begins to turn into Doomsday as certain parts of his body, which makes sense because remember, he was having flashbacks of killing people. And Doomsday, he loved to kill people. And so right now, it's Superman turning into Doomsday, it seems like. And so with that, he's unable to actually access the Fortress of Solitude. On top of that, Crypto begins to hate him or not like him because Crypto realized you're changing. You're changing into Doomsday. That's not good. Now, when we jump into the second chapter of this book, we actually focus on Wonder Woman. And the reason why, because the book is reminding us that her and Clark Kent are dating one another. And so with that being said, we actually do pick up with her right now going to his apartment because he has not been heard from in a good period of time. And so with that, she's wondering maybe, just maybe, he's in his apartment. Except when she gets there, he has changed. He has completely changed. But of course, we do not get the chance to actually see how in the world he changed. Now, we do learn that chapter 2 does take place 1 month after the ending of chapter 1. And the way we find this out is the story now jumping back 8 hours prior to the moment you had Superman meeting up with Wonder Woman in his apartment. And so with us going back 8 hours now, we actually pick up at Clark Kent's new job. Now remember, he's no longer working at the Daily Planet at this point in DC Comics. He now works with Cat Grant. Him and Cat Grant made a blog. That blog got very popular. Matter of fact, their blog was the one to publish the big story that Superman is dating Wonder Woman. But either way, the reason why we're focusing on his job right now is because you had Wonder Woman go into his job pretending to be someone else and saying that she is Clark Kent's girlfriend. And when she gets there though, she does ask Cat Grant, did Clark act weird to you? And you had Cat say, yeah. Matter of fact, he did act weird. Very weird. Matter of fact, when I asked him about different stories, he got very angry, yelled at me, and left. And that right there tells Wonder Woman something is going on with Superman, but we have no idea what it actually is though. Now, we do jump back into the present moment, which of course was Superman talking to Wonder Woman in his apartment. Now, at this moment right here, we can tell that Superman has changed, that he has changed. Now, we can't see his new form, but we can tell that he is completely different. Now, with that being said, this is also the moment we see Superman getting very angry at Wonder Woman, which does make sense because if he is turning into Doomsday, he'll be full of rage. And the reason why he's mad at her, because she has never said, I love you back to him. Matter of fact, every time she has a problem, she doesn't want to bring him along to help solve those problems. But when it comes to him, he said, I love you. He also brings her to help him figure out his problems. And so right now it's him kind of like, you don't love me. You don't care for me. I don't like you. Sorry, you don't like me. And so right now it's him getting very insecure, but also he's becoming very, very angry. Now, the story does jump back in the past once again, except this time you do pick up with Wonder Woman meeting up with Lois Lane. Because remember, it's her going around asking all the friends of Clark Kent to see that if anyone has heard from him. On top of that, is he acting any kind of way? Is he acting different? And so by the time you have Wonder Woman go meet up with Lois Lane is actually being arrested by the military. Now, at this point in DC Comics, I'm pretty sure about this, Wonder Woman is the god of war. And honestly, I'm not going to sit here and try to explain all of that, but she is the god of war. And with these soldiers being part of a military, which is used in war, you actually have Wonder Woman able to tell these soldiers to let Lois Lane go. But that is the moment you actually have Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, ask Lois Lane, have you heard from Clark Kent? Is he acting different to you as well? What in the world is going on with Clark Kent? Now, after her conversation with Lois Lane, you do have Wonder Woman go meet up with Batman. And it makes sense because Batman is technically Superman's best friend. And so you do have Batman talk to Wonder Woman. And when he does, he tells her that he was able to collect 2 different blood samples. One of Clark Kent's and one of Doomsday. But of course, the blood samples, there's no difference between the 2 of them. And so then you have Wonder Woman tell Batman that Clark Kent told her that he did suck in a lot of black particles that came out of Doomsday. And so you have Batman say, listen, if that's the case, Superman is turning into another Doomsday. And that is scary and that is huge. We need to find him and find a way to help him before things get a whole lot worse. But back in the present day, we actually pick up with Superman being Doomsday. He is now a Doomsday and he is attacking Wonder Woman. Now, while he's attacking her, he's basically begging her to kill him. He wants her to kill him because he knows sooner or later he is going to be too strong to be stopped. And when that comes, the entire earth is going to be destroyed by his hands. And so he's begging her to just go ahead and kill him. But she does not want to do that because that's her man. She loves him very much. Now, Batman does appear as well, and really Batman doesn't do much. But you do have Wonder Woman actually able to talk to Superman to calm him down just long enough for him to turn back into his regular form. But you do have Superman say, I can't hold this in. I can feel it crawling inside of me. Sooner or later, I am going to turn back into Doomsday once again. Now, the third chapter is about Batman, and it makes sense because he is the best friend of Superman. Matter of fact, around this time, they did have a Batman Superman comic, just like they had a Superman and Wonder Woman comic. But either way, we do pick up at Wayne Manor, and we come to find out Senator Lane had held a press conference, and he had told the world that Superman could be turning into another Doomsday, and they had an artist actually create some kind of image on what Superman could look like if he becomes a Doomsday. And right now, everyone is freaking out, and Batman knows that this could only make things even worse for Superman down the road. Now, we do pick up with Batman right now going to the Fortress of Solitude. And remember, Superman did give Batman a key to the Fortress of Solitude. Now, Batman is not going inside the fortress by himself. Matter of fact, he is confronted by Wonder Woman and Steel. Now, we do kind of find out from those two characters that Lex Luthor actually has Superman. Now, it's not like Superman is his prisoner. It's more of the Lex Luthor is trying to hopefully find a cure for Superman. But in the meantime, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Steel are also looking for a cure in the Fortress of Solitude. But now Batman has a big question. Where was Superman holding Doomsday in? And we all know it was the Phantom Zone. The big question is now, how did Doomsday escape the Phantom Zone? And so you have Batman say, I'm going inside the Phantom Zone to figure out how in the world Doomsday got out. And you do have Wonder Woman say she is going as well. Steel is going to stay behind just to make sure the portal closes in the right time. Now, the reason why Batman had told Steel to stay behind just to make sure to close the portal in time is because when it comes to Superman, he had fought against a lot of powerful enemies over the years, and he had locked most of them up in the Phantom Zone. Now, the Phantom Zone is basically like another dimension, a pocket dimension. And with that, Superman keeps all the dangerous enemies inside this dimension, where he actually kept Doomsday in. And the big question is now, how in the world did Doomsday escape the Phantom Zone? Now, in the Phantom Zone, you do have Batman and Wonder Woman actually confront Mongol and Nun. Now, with that being said, these are two more powerful characters who could technically go toe-to-toe with Superman, and they were locked away in here to protect the Earth. Now, when Batman and Wonder Woman find them, that is the moment they come to find out there is some kind of rift in the Phantom Zone. And that rift could kill everyone in the Phantom Zone if it's not properly handled. Now, you do have Wonder Woman being able to kind of handle that rift, but when she does, Mongol is not happy that he was saved by a lady, especially when she gave him some orders. And so Mongol wants to fight against Wonder Woman. Of course, Nun does too. Now, this is not a fair fight because 2 against 1. There is Batman, but he can't do much. But that is the moment you have Ghost Soldier appear. Now, Ghost Soldier is one of those characters they made in the New 52, hoping that fans will love it and want more of him. But of course, fans are kind of like, no. But Ghost Soldier was also locked away in the Phantom Zone as a way to protect the Earth. But apparently, Ghost Soldier is here to help out Batman and Wonder Woman to hopefully save Superman. Now, when it comes to Ghost Soldier, he did have a set of different powers. One of those powers was he was able to make other people go intangible, meaning that he can turn them into a ghost. Now, with that being said, no harm could be done to those people. Now, Ghost Soldier had actually fought against Superman a while back. They fought against each other, but Ghost Soldier was put into the Phantom Zone. Now, Ghost Soldier is trying to show Batman and Wonder Woman what's happening right now in the middle of the Phantom Zone, which is that there is some kind of machinery that is using the energy of the rifts in the Phantom Zone. And you have Batman realize that this machinery is how Doomsday was able to escape. All that energy came here, made a rift in the Phantom Zone, which then gave Doomsday easy access to leave the Phantom Zone and go into the Earth. But then you have Ghost Soldier say he sensed something coming, something very dangerous, something very powerful. And that person is Zadu. Now, Zadu is the first person to ever be trapped into the Phantom Zone. Now, with that being said, he had fought against Superman a lot over the years. But either way, Zadu has been working with the Tower, the organization that DC had made, hoping fans would care for. But the Tower has done a lot of different things to go up against Superman. Now, Zadu had actually helped the Tower with a lot of those things. One of those things was making Ghost Soldier. Apparently, Ghost Soldier was made by Zadu to help the Tower to help them take down Superman. That plan failed, but then Zadu gave the Tower one more gift, and that final gift was Doomsday. Zadu had worked with the Tower to make the rifts to help release Doomsday into the Earth. And so with that, Zadu knew if Superman had killed Doomsday, then basically the next person to be a Doomsday is Superman. He knew that would happen. He knew that Doomsday carries some kind of virus that could infect Superman and turn him into a Doomsday. And that is what's happening right now at this moment. Now, the last few pages of this chapter turns into a big battle with Batman, Wonder Woman, Zadu, Ghost Soldier, Nun, and Mongol. It's a huge battle in the Phantom Zone. But with that being said, Batman and Wonder Woman know they need Ghost Soldier and they also need Zadu as well, because Zadu could possibly help them save Superman's life. And so with that, you do have this big battle kind of end very quickly with Batman, Wonder Woman, Ghost Soldier being able to make it out of the Phantom Zone, but with Zadu as well. And they were able to close the portal before Mongol and Nun got out. And so with that, the day is saved on that point right there. But now the next goal is to make Zadu help our hero save Superman before he completely turns into the next Doomsday. Now, when we get into the 4th chapter of the book, we actually do pick up with Superman once again. But let's not forget that right now Superman is being held in a cell by Lex Luthor, and you have Lex Luthor, Batman, Ray Palmer, Cyborg, and Dr. Shea all working on Superman. Because right now they're trying to find a way to basically stop the transformation of him turning into Doomsday. The problem is though, you have a lot of top mind people in the world all here right now trying to figure out a way to help out Superman, and you have Lex Luthor say there's nothing they can do. That right now Superman is going to turn into Doomsday. Now, this is not Lex Luthor trying to play some mind game or make everyone freak out and then the very last minute he comes in and saves the day. No, this is Lex Luthor speaking the truth right now. He knows there is no way to save Superman's life. Batman knows, Cyborg knows, Ray Palmer knows, and Dr. Shea, she also knows. Everyone knows that there is no way that they can technically save Superman. And so now the big question is, what do they do next before he turns into Doomsday and destroys the entire Earth? But getting back over to Dr. Shea, this is really DC reminding us who she is. And remember, she has a facility known as the Block. And the Block is technically located near the core of the Earth. Now, we met her back at the very beginning on Superman's Hell on Earth event, but she's a close friend of Superman, and she is trying her best to find a way to help her dear friend out, because right now she knows that he has done so much for her that she wants to do a whole lot for him right now. And right now, she can't do anything. She can't help her best friend before he turns into Doomsday at the moment. But getting back to the prison, we actually do pick up with Lois Lane arriving at the prison. And the reason why? To see Superman. Because remember, at this point in DC Comics, even though Lois Lane and Clark Kent are not dating and they're not close, she did find out that Superman is Clark Kent. And with that right there, she wants to make sure that her dear friend is okay. But we have to remember that Lois Lane right here is not a good guy at the moment. She's being mind controlled. She's being controlled by Brainiac. And you see what I mean here in a moment, and I'll re-explain why she's being mind controlled by Brainiac. But when she walks into the prison to see Superman and see how bad he is at the moment, that is the moment you have Superman tell Lois Lane to tell the world about him. Not who he is, but what's happening to him. How he's right now turning into Doomsday. And that's Superman wanting the world to know that the person that they had trust the most is now changing into something that could technically destroy the entire Earth. But that is the moment you actually have Lois Lane attack the mind of Superman. Now, I'm going to use this moment right here to explain how in the world did Lois Lane get powers, for one, but two, also being mind controlled by Brainiac. Well, it all took place in a storyline called Psy-War. Now, Psy-War was a way for DC to introduce Hive into the New 52. Now, with that being said, they were also hinting that Brainiac is going to come back to the Earth very soon. Now, with all that being said, though, when it came to Lois Lane, she found out that there were 20 people missing in Metropolis. Those 20 people were actually selected by Brainiac. And Brainiac gave them powers to evolve their minds. And the reason why? To make them hosts. Because he wants to download the minds of his people from his dead planet into the minds of humans. But he wanted to see that the 20 he selected could actually take the download. Now, one of the 20 actually came to Lois Lane. And the reason why? He wanted Lois Lane to tell the world Brainiac is going to come back soon. And when he does, he's coming full force. And so with that being said, is him telling Lois to go out there and tell the world. And then he gave her his powers to her, which then made her one of the 20. Now, she never did publish that story like she should have. But right now, with her having the powers of that last guy, she became one of the 20. And of course, Brainiac selected her to be the main one and to mind control her and to help him get the Earth ready for his takeover. And so that is why she got powers, and that is how she's being mind controlled by Brainiac. Now, back to the mind attack she does on Superman. With her doing a mind attack on Superman, she made him believe that the Teen Titans need help at the moment. And so he just flies away. He leaves the prison and everyone's kind of like, what just happened? Why did he leave? What in the world is going on? Now, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video, with Superman actually arriving to help the Teen Titans out. Now, when he arrives, he actually takes out their bad guy. Now, the bad guy name doesn't even matter, and the reason why, because even in my Teen Titans videos, I even said that character is a C-list character and he does not matter. But either way, though, with Superman taking out that guy, you have Red Robin freak out, because Batman told Red Robin, Superman is not good right now. There is something wrong with him. On top of that right there, let's not forget the military did release a story to the entire world to say that Superman is turning into Doomsday. And so right now, he's basically trying to fight against the infection that is growing inside his body. But with that being Okay, so getting back into our coverage over Superman Doom, we actually pick up with Superman becoming the enemy of the state. And the reason why I say that is because, remember, the American government knows that Superman had kills Doomsday. It happened in Smallville, but the government also knows that Superman was infected by something from Doomsday that is now turning Superman into Doomsday. And so with all that being said, it's basically the American government trying to bring Superman back in because they know that sooner or later he will become Doomsday and he will kill people across the globe. And so they're trying to bring him back in. Now, when it comes to Superman turning into Doomsday, he's also getting Doomsday's powers. What I mean by this is our very first video of Superman Doom, when Doomsday went to a certain area on the Earth, that area began to catch on fire, animals died quickly. It was kind of like his aura around him had the ability to kill things without him even touching it. And so now Superman is getting that power as well. As he's going around, jets are blowing up, trees are burning, animals are dying. He's literally becoming Doomsday as he keeps going on, trying to find a new way to get rid of the infection. Now, to make things even worse, the public knows now Superman is turning into Doomsday, thanks to Lois Lane, because Superman wanted Lois Lane to tell the world what is happening at the moment, that Superman is becoming Doomsday. Superman has gone crazy. Superman has begun the process of turning evil. And so it's Lois Lane telling the public, telling the world what is happening, that their hero, that everyone looked up to, is now becoming a monster that could possibly kill off the entire planet. But then we jump over to Smallville, where we pick up with Lana Lang. Of course, Lana Lang being the first love interest of Superman back when they were in high school, back when he was in Smallville. Now, with that being said, Lana Lang does not know that Clark Kent is Superman. She has no idea at all. Now, the reason why she's in Smallville right now, because remember, the whole city of Smallville fell into a coma. Now, this could lead into Brainiac coming back to Earth, because we know that Brainiac is on his way back to Earth at the same time Superman is becoming Doomsday. And so right now it seems like without Superman to protect the Earth is easy picking for Brainiac. But Smallville, the people of Smallville have fell into a coma, and Lana Lang is trying to save her parents and everyone in Smallville. Now, with that being said, her phone goes off, and of course she thinks it's Clark Kent or Superman. But of course she comes to find out it is not Superman, it is actually Wonder Woman. Because Wonder Woman found out that apparently Superman gave someone an emergency line, and that emergency line was Lana Lang. And so now the two of them are going to work together to hopefully save Smallville, but to save Superman as well. Now, getting back over to Lois Lane and her father, Senator Lane, we do see that they are very serious about the idea of Superman becoming the enemy of the state. What I mean by that is that they wake up John Corbin. Now, John Corbin in the New 52 and previous 52, he is Metallo. Now, in the New 52, Superman actually fought Metallo at the very beginning of Action Comics when Grant Morrison was reworking the origin of Superman. And apparently these two characters fought against each other right before Superman had to deal with Brainiac. But either way, though, when it comes to Metallo, it's the American government waking him back up to hopefully have him fight against Superman, to bring him in, because Metallo could have the ability to bring him down. Now, getting back over to Superman, you do have Superman be confronted by Steel. Now, of course, This is still coming to Superman as a friend, not an enemy. Not trying to make Superman an enemy of the state, but it's still trying to help Superman get control of the Doomsday infection. But Superman knows that he really can't control the Doomsday infection. Matter of fact, it's taking over his body, his mind, everything about him. And so when Steel comes to Superman, you have Superman tell Steel, listen, I'm going to give you a key. This key will give you the ability to throw me into the Phantom Zone. I am promising you, you need to do it sooner than later because I cannot control it. So can you promise me that you will actually do it? And for Steel, he's kind of like, I don't want to do it. But if it comes down to it, then yeah, I'll do it. But that is the moment you have Superman lose control once again of the Doomsday infection. And so he actually backhands Steel and sends Steel flying in the air. And so now it's still kind of like, yeah, this infection is getting worse. We need to work fast to hopefully save Superman before things can get worse for the planet Earth. Now that is the moment you have Metallo appear. Now remember, Metallo is working for the American government, and this is the American government saying like Superman is too powerful and dangerous to be left out there unchecked. He needs to be locked up, locked away, because he is becoming Doomsday. Now, when it comes to Metallo, a lot of fans who know this should remember this right now, because Metallo has a heart, but his heart is not a human heart, it's a kryptonite heart. And that is why he's one of those popular Superman villains, because kind of like Superman must fight against someone who has a kryptonite for a heart. Of course, kryptonite is one of the many weaknesses of Superman. But with that being said, you now have Metallo coming in here fighting for the American government to bring down Superman. Now, really, Metallo is doing this for the love of Lois Lane. Let me explain. So, in the very beginning of the New 52 in Action Comics, Grant Morrison made Metallo in the New 52. But Metallo had a huge crush on Lois Lane. And so when he became Metallo, fought against Superman, fought against Brainiac, his mental state got really bad. And so he was kind of locked away and put on stasis. And so when he woke up for this storyline right here, his mental state never really healed up all the way. And so really he's doing all of this for Lois Lane. Now, on top of that, you have Lois Lane right now talking to him in his mind. And the reason why she's able to do that comes out of Psywar. Remember, Psywar was the storyline where 20 people were selected by Brainiac because Brainiac wanted to see if humans could be good hosts for his people to have their minds downloaded into the humans' bodies. But of course, he selected 20 people and gave them psychic powers to hopefully make them good hosts for his people to be downloaded into. Now, one of the 20 people who were selected by Brainiac gave their powers over to Lois Lane so that Lois Lane could warn Metropolis what is happening, that Brainiac is going to come back sooner or later to take over the Earth, give everybody psychic powers so that he can download the minds of his people into the bodies of the human race. And so Lois Lane was supposed to do that, but she never did. On top of that, Lois Lane is now being mind controlled by Brainiac. And so this is her behind the scenes trying to remove Superman to make everything easier for Brainiac to take over the Earth. And so right now it's her kind of making Metallo fight against Superman to make everything easier for Brainiac. And things are about to get a whole lot worse. And what I mean by that is Metallo did come here to fight against Superman, but he was only plan A. Plan B was a bomb, and that bomb is basically a kryptonite bomb, a kryptonite gas bomb. And of course, kryptonite is one of the many weaknesses of Superman. And so now you're talking about using a bomb that's holding a deadly gas made to kill Superman. this could actually bring Superman down. But in reality, it makes things a whole lot worse because Superman was trying his best to fight against the Doomsday infection. But now with the kryptonite gas being used, it's getting bigger and bigger, just expanding all over the earth. It made Superman weak, so weak that he is no longer able to fight against the infection that he was trying to fight against. And so with the gas, it gave the Doomsday infection the ability to finally take over Superman. Superman has officially became Doomsday. And so now the American government has made things even worse for the planet Earth. Now, getting into the second chapter of our video, we actually go inside the mind of Superman. What I mean by that is, in the mind of Superman, you have two different personas fighting for control over Superman. You have Clark Kent, the original Superman, the good side, and then you have Super Doom, the bad side. And so both sides are fighting for control right now over the body of Superman. And right now it seems like Super Doom is winning because thanks to that kryptonite gas in the air around the world, Superman is weak. And so now Super Doom is taking over. And sooner or later, that could lead to more problems down the road. But a few miles away, we pick up with Wonder Woman, who's watching Superman from a far distance. But with that being said, she is also with one of her Amazonian sisters, Hesea. Hesea is one of the great doctors from Themyscira, and this is Wonder Woman asking for her help, believing that maybe magic and some kind of medicine from Themyscira could possibly heal up Superman. They're trying to find different ways to actually help out Superman. And so you do have Hesea put on one of her battle armor suits because she knows that Superman is a very strong opponent, especially now with him being affected with Doomsday. And so now he's even more powerful. And so this is Hesea going in and telling Wonder Woman that she may be able to actually help Superman out. Except Hesea lied to Wonder Woman, because when Hesea told Wonder Woman that she would find a way to actually help Superman out, that was a big lie. In reality, Hesea realized that Superman must die. He must be killed, because if he is turning into Doomsday, then all hopes is lost. Why do we keep trying to find different ways to save this man and nothing is working? And so for Hesea, she's kind of like, I have other patients across the world. And for me to actually help those patients out, I have to get rid of Superman. And so Hesea tries her best to fight against Superman. But Superman is too powerful. He's too strong. He's turning into Doomsday. And so he's able to just beat down over and over again on Hesea. Everything she tries to do does not work on him. It's Superman showing what would happen to him if he becomes Doomsday, a powerful force on the planet of Earth. Now you do have Wonder Woman step in, and honestly, that's a good idea because Superman Doom was about to kill off Hesea, and so she is very lucky that Wonder Woman stepped in to basically save her butt from being killed by Superman. But here comes the thing though. Wonder Woman does take Superman out into space, and when she does that, that means he is now away from the kryptonite gas, which means Superman does now have full control of his body. And so now he's telling Wonder Woman he must leave the planet Earth. He cannot go back down there because of the kryptonite gas. But on top of that, he wants to stay away, far away from the planet Earth until he knows how he can cure the Doomsday disease. And so this is him basically removing himself from the Earth. And he's saying goodbye to Wonder Woman and asking her and the rest of the Justice League to protect the planet until he can come back and honestly be a better person. But here comes the next problem though. As Superman begins the process of flying away, trying to get far away from the planet Earth, that is the moment he does get attacked by a bunch of red lanterns. Now, the red lanterns, of course, they're powered by rage. Now, with that being said, in the new 52, DC was still all love for Green Lantern, thanks to Jeff Johns. And so in the new 52, they gave the Red Lanterns their own title. And that title did go on for a good period of time. But two superheroes had joined the Red Lanterns. The first being, of course, Guy Gardner, and the other one was Supergirl. And so by this point in DC Comics, Supergirl and Guy Gardner were both Red Lanterns. And of course, they're trying to be good Red Lanterns. But either way, you have both characters right now trying to fight against Superman, which is not a good idea because he's trying to control the infection in his body. But with them fighting against him, of course, he loses control of the infection and he turns right back into Doomsday. And he sends the Red Lanterns right down to Earth. And that tells you right there, nothing can really stop him at all. But to go ahead and wrap up this video, you do have Wonder Woman actually meet up with the Red Lanterns where they had crashed at thanks to Superman throwing them down back to Earth. And you have Wonder Woman as the Red Lanterns. Why in the world are you here? What are you doing? And of course they say, listen, we came here to stop Superman because our job right now as Red Lanterns is to protect the Earth. And to protect the Earth from Superman, we had to do it. But of course, that is the moment you have Wonder Woman tell the Red Lanterns, you can't do anything at all. You can't stop him. He's too powerful. He's too gone. The only thing you can do now is get out of his way and let him be, because he is too powerful to be stopped right now. And so the story ends, or for now, on a cliffhanger. Superman has left Earth, which means Earth is now easy pickings for Brainiac. But the big question is now, where is Superman going to go now? Where is he going to go? And we're going to find out in the next. Okay, so getting back into our coverage over Superman Doom, we actually pick up with two characters, Lana Lang and Steel. Now, Lana Lang, of course, we all know, she was the first love interest for Clark Kent when he was living in Smallville. Now, Steel is another superhero that really kind of idolized Superman. Matter of fact, the whole Steel persona he's in right now is him kind of being a spinoff of Superman. But either way though, you do have the two of them right now in Smallville. Now the reason why, because remember, in our last couple of videos, Smallville, the entire population of Smallville just fell into comas. And they have no idea why. Now, of course, you do have Lana Lang and Steel about to leave Smallville and actually go into space. Now, the reason why? To find Superman. Because remember, at the end of our last video, with Superman being the enemy of the state because the world knows that he was turning into Doomsday, he basically flew away to kind of protect the Earth because they also shot a kryptonite bomb. And that bomb was a gas, and that gas weakened the good side of Superman and letting Superman Doomsday take over the body of Superman. And so he flew away as a way to protect the Earth. But now it seemed like Lana Lang and Steel are about to go into space to hopefully find Doomsday. Or Superman Doomsday, sorry. But we do pick up with the star of the book, and of course that would be Superman. Now remember, Superman left Earth as a way to protect it because the Doomsday infection is taking over his body. But with that being said, he is confronted by Supergirl. Now I do want to mention, at this point in DC Comics, Supergirl was a Red Lantern, and Red Lanterns used to be the bad guys of the Green Lanterns. But at this point, it was DC trying something new, something different, to make the Red Lanterns good, and Supergirl being one of the many Red Lanterns. Now, with that being said, this is Supergirl kind of making Superman realize that he's still the greatest superhero in the universe, meaning that he needs to go back to Earth because Earth needs him so badly because things are about to get a whole lot worse. But if he goes back there looking like this, and with him being the enemy of the state, it's kind of like as soon as he arrives, he will be attacked by the American government or possibly other governments. But you did have Supergirl use a certain situation to remind Superman that he is the greatest superhero on Earth, because she takes him to an old planet. This planet is known as the Char. Now, with that being said, the Char used to fight against Kryptonians back in the old days before Superman had left for Earth. Now, with that being said, the Char's home world is about to blow up. And so this is Supergirl saying, hey, you're still a great hero. You just need a little push to remind you that you are a great hero. Get down there and save that planet. And so while Superman is going down to try to help the people of the Char escape their planet before it explodes, well, that is the moment Superman is confronted by a new villain that was literally only created for this storyline right here. I think he appears again for one more book, but that is it. But either way, that character is better known as, and guys, this name sucks so much, but his name is Harak. Now, Harak is not really a bad guy, but here's his deal. So, a year ago, Harak came to the people of the Char and told them that he is going to absorb the life energy and it will cause this planet to explode. And so he told them a year ago to evacuate. Well, that year passed, he came back and began the process of trying to absorb the life energy. Now, with that being said, he's still nice enough to let the people evacuate, but this whole world is going to blow up. And when it does, anything around it will be affected. Anything around it could possibly die. Now, that is why you have Superman stepping in to make sure that those people are able to get away from their whole world while he fights against Harak. Now, this fight does last for a few pages, but the point of this fight is for us to watch Superman and not watch him fight, but to watch him fight to keep control of his body. Because remember, that infection is slowly sinking in. It's slowly taking over his body. And so this is Superman trying to keep that virus at bay just long enough. But of course, it's slowly winning. And Superman is losing control of what he had moments ago. Now, getting back over to Lana Lang and Steel, who are right now in space trying to find Superman, they do get lucky because with that home world blowing up, Steel was able to detect that explosion. But here comes another problem, because while Lana Lang and Steel are in space, the signal that they were following is going back to Earth. Now, this same signal is the same one that put everyone in Smallville in a coma. And so this is Lana Lang realizing that signal is going to Earth once again, but to a different location. And that location is Metropolis. And so now the people in Metropolis have the potential of falling into comas just like the people in Smallville. And so you have Lana Lang call up Lois Lane. But here comes the big problem though. No one knows that Lois Lane is evil. Right now, Lois Lane is working for Brainiac, and that is huge. And so with the world, or really Metropolis, about to fall in a coma thanks to Brainiac once again, and you have Lana Lang trying to tell Lois Lane, you need to warn the people, Lois Lane is not going to warn the people because she's working with Brainiac. Now, back out in space, we do pick up with Steel and Lana Lang right now realizing that something else is coming towards the Earth. And of course, that something is Cyborg Superman. Now, this Cyborg Superman is the one we saw back in New 52 Supergirl. But this one is also the father of Supergirl, who's under Brainiac's control. And right now, is Brainiac sending him and an army of robots to attack the Earth. And Steel and Lana Lang, they see this army coming, and they're kind of freaking out. Now, when we jump into the second chapter of this video, we actually continue to follow Lana Lang and Steel out in space. But now, they're fighting against the army of Brainiac. Now, here comes the big problem though. They're trying to call out for Superman, because Superman needs to know that Brainiac is coming. Lana Lang and Steel, they know Brainiac is coming. And so right now, they're trying to get close enough to call out for him in the middle of space. Now, luckily, they were just close enough to call out to Superman to tell him, hey, listen, right now, me and John Steele, we're about to be killed in space by these robots. So we need you to help us. On top of that, we have something very important to tell you. And that important information is that basically Brainiac is coming back to Earth. Earth needs its hero to protect it from Brainiac. And so you do have Superman appear, but this is Superman Doom, meaning that right now he looks more like Doomsday rather than Superman. And so you have still kind of freaked out, but then you have still say, maybe, just maybe, this is what we need to save our lives. But then we have to get back down to Earth. And the reason why, because remember what I said earlier, Lana Lang and Steel realized there was some kind of signal heading back to Earth. That same signal looked very familiar, and it could have been the same one that put the people in Smallville into comas. And so Lana Lang realized that signal was going to Metropolis. And right now, a small area in Metropolis has fallen into a coma. People in that area have fallen into comas. And so right now the military has that area quarantined and cut off from the rest of Metropolis. Now, you do have Lois Lane just walk up and walk through the guards. She walks right past the guards. And everyone who's watching it happen are kind of like, why in the world is Lois Lane able to walk through the guards so easily? What in the world is going on? But that is the moment you have Lois Lane reveal to the entire world that she is working for Brainiac. And matter of fact, her whole body changes into a Brainiac body. Like, look at her. She literally looks like Brainiac. Now, you do have Wonder Woman come down kind of like, hey, Lois, two things. One, what's happening in Metropolis? And two, what happened to you? And that is the moment you have Lois Lane say, Brainiac is coming and we need to clear the board. And she begins the process of attacking Wonder Woman. But we do get back over to Steel, Superman, and Lana Lang, who are all in space right now at the moment. Now, with that being said, you have Superman wondering why in the world is Steel and Lana Lang are out here in space. And that is the moment you have Steel explained everything and say, listen, Superman, while you were gone, Lana Lang was able to figure out what put the people in Smallville into comas. She detected a signal. Now, they came to space looking for him, but at the same time to follow that signal. Now, while following that signal, Lana Lang realized it belongs to Brainiac. But at the same time, the second signal went down to Metropolis. So now you have two towns full of people who are in comas. And so this is Lana Lang is still saying, Brainiac is coming. That was his army that just passed by. You need to get back to Earth and save the day right now. Now, back on Earth with the battle between Wonder Woman and Lois Lane, this is Wonder Woman trying her best to reason with Lois Lane, to figure out what is wrong with her. Why is she working with Brainiac? But the problem is, Lois Lane does not want to listen. Lois Lane's kind of like, listen, sister, go ahead and fall to your knees and bow down now, because Brainiac is coming, and when he comes, the entire Earth is game over. Now, of course, this is Wonder Woman. She will not beg, she will not step down, she will always keep fighting until she dies. But with that being said, she is confronted by Metallo. Now remember, Metallo is a Superman villain who has a kryptonite heart for a heart. Now with that being said, the last time we saw Metallo in the New 52, well, he blew himself up with the bomb to release a deadly gas to kill Superman. This Metallo is a more messed up one. What I mean is that with Lois Lane having the memories of the last Metallo in her mind, because she's a psychic now, she basically downloaded those memories into another robot. Really messed up. So this robot right here really believes that he is the actual Metallo, alive and well. But of course now you have Wonder Woman fighting against him. Now, picking back up with Cyborg Superman, we do see him right now kind of going over what's happened so far with his army that is heading towards the Earth. But of course, that is the moment he gets word about his ships being attacked. And he's wondering who in the world are attacking his ships right now in the middle of space. And of course, we know who that is. It's Superman Doom. And so now we're going to have Superman fight against Superman, really. But then we jump back over to Wonder Woman and Lois Lane, who are right now fighting against each other, and also Metallo helping Lois Lane to fight against Wonder Woman. Now, you do have Wonder Woman continue to fight against Metallo, and Metallo is really not a strong character. What I mean is that, yes, he has fought against Superman, and he has won some battles because, again, he has a kryptonite heart. So with that being said, this Metallo's heart does not affect Lois Lane. Also, this is not the real Metallo. Not Lois Lane. His heart does not affect Wonder Woman. But either way, you do have Wonder Woman actually defeat Metallo very easily. But she does let Lois Lane get away with the head of the new version of Metallo, which is very concerning for Wonder Woman. Now, getting back out in space, we do see Superman getting ready to fight against Cyborg Superman. Now, Clark Kent has no idea that Cyborg Superman is the actual father of his cousin, Supergirl. But either way though, they're about to fight against one another. But while they're getting ready to fight against one another, in the mind of Clark Kent, Doomsday Superman is trying to take over, and he is slowly taking over. So meaning that sooner or later, Superman will lose control of his Superman Doomsday. Now, getting into the third chapter of this storyline, we actually do pick up with a small battle between Cyborg Superman and our Superman Clark Kent. Now, this battle doesn't last long because to Cyborg Superman, two things. One, he realized that he does not stand a chance against Superman Doom. On top of that right there, he already completed his mission, which was to lead the army to Earth. And also he did some other things behind the scenes. And so now it's Cyborg Superman kind of like, listen, we're two of the last Kryptonians in the universe. And here we are fighting against one another. Now you're more powerful than me, but my boss gave me a task and I completed that task. So I'm going to leave before you rip off my other arm. But goodbye and watch the earth burn. Now we do jump over to the Watchtower where we pick up with some members of the Justice League. Now this is very important because right now you have the Justice League trying to figure out what is coming towards their way, what is coming towards Earth. Now we know what it is. Of course it's Brainiac's army of robots, but then out of nowhere Cyborg is hit. He's taken down, not physically, but through his technology, his computer system, and so he was taken out. After that, the Watchtower defense system went down, and so with all that happening all at once, you have the Justice League begin to freak out. Now you do have Steel and Lana call in to Wonder Woman and the rest of the League to warn them, hey, this is what's coming your way to Earth right now. It's basically an army of Brainiac's robots. They're coming to Earth and we got to get ready for it because there is a lot of them coming. And you have Wonder Woman tell Lana Lang, like, yeah, we know they're coming. We just detected them. Like, we're trying to work out a plan. But that is the moment you have Lana Lang say, listen, I may know a way to actually kind of corrupt their system to get rid of some of them, to slow down this attack. Because when it comes to Lana Lang, this is her field. And so she's kind of like, if you let me help, we could possibly win this war. Now, outside the Watchtower, we do see Superman right now listening in. But that is the moment you have Lana Lang and Steel tell the rest of the Justice League that they were able to find Superman, which is very huge and great. But here comes the big problem though. You didn't have Batman chime in and say, hey, listen, Superman cannot come back to Earth, because let's not forget what happened at the end of our last video. They used a kryptonite gas bomb, and that gas has spread all over the entire planet of Earth. And so with that, if Superman flies back in, that could be a huge problem, because remember, Superman is trying to fight against the infection in his body. And so if he goes down there and gets hit with that kryptonite gas, he'll be too weak to fight against the infection in his body, which means Superman Doomsday will finally take over. And that could lead to the end of, well, Earth and possibly other planets in the universe. And so right now is everyone kind of like wondering, what can Superman do to actually help us out? Now, either way, you still have Superman fly down to help out the different members of the Justice League. Now, with that being said, though, as soon as he flies in and takes out more robots for each member of the League, well, he realized that the kryptonite gas is still in the air. And so right now, he's fighting against two different battles inside his body. The kryptonite gas that is basically weakening him right now, and also the Doomsday infection that is trying to take over his body. And so it's Superman flying away, trying to fight against both battles in his body right now. Now, you do have Wonder Woman call up Batman, and this is her saying, Batman, do you have a plan? Because Batman is one of the smartest people in DC Comics. And this is Batman saying yes. Now, you also have Wonder Woman kind of worried about Batman, because she believes that Batman could possibly use this moment as a way to go ahead and kill off Superman. But right now, this is a Batman kind of like, I do not want to kill him unless we have to. But right now, a world with Superman is better than a world without Superman. So trust me on this one. I have a plan to hopefully save him. But this war is taking place all over the earth, everywhere. And so with this war taking over all over the world right now, you have different members of the Justice League, the superhero community, coming together to fight against this invasion. But that is the moment you have Cyborg realize they're losing this battle. And right now, they need to find a way to actually stop Brainiac and his army of robots. But here comes the next problem. Let's not forget about Cyborg's Superman, because he's not done yet. What I mean is that he's talking to one of his robots to see how many robots that they have lost from their army. And the robot tells him only 5%. 5% has only been killed. That still leaves 95% of Brainiac's army on Earth right now, wreaking havoc, and the heroes are struggling. But that is the moment you have Cyborg Superman building something very big and powerful. And so with that, you have Steel and Lana Lang see him building something. And so this is Steel saying that, listen, I have to go out there and actually fight against Cyborg Superman, because we have no idea what in the world he's building. It could possibly bring Brainiac here to Earth. So I need to go out there and stop him, but to also destroy that machine he's building. But getting back over to Superman right now, even though Superman is taking out all the different robots in the area, inside his mind, he's fighting against Superman Doomsday, who's trying to take over his mind. It's the infection that is growing and growing. And so even though on the outside it seems like he's in control, but inside he's losing control. The kryptonite is basically weakening him. He's losing control, and he can't fight against the infection of Doomsday. And so as the battle goes on, we do see Superman begin to change. He becomes more savage, like Doomsday. Now, you do have Wonder Woman step in, but of course, this is her trying to fight against her man, because remember, at this point in the New 52, these two characters were dating one another. But either way, this is her kind of like, I have to stop my man. I have to stop him to save the earth and to hopefully find a way to cure him, because we need him right now to fight against Brainiac. But then we jump back over to Cyborg Superman fighting against Steel. Now, this is not a fair fight for Steel. And the reason why I say that is because Steel is fighting a Superman. He's maybe a cyborg, but he still is a Superman, meaning that he's still strong. He's hard to defeat. He's hard to stop. And so right now, you basically have Steel lose that battle. Now, Lana Lang does step in to help out Steel, but that is the problem right there, though. She's a regular human being with only a couple small-time weapons, and that is it. So you have Cyborg Superman attack her spaceship, which of course means now Steel must go save her and go back to Earth because she might die soon being out in space. And so of course Steel was unable to stop Cyborg Superman and to also stop whatever he is making out in space. But getting back down to Earth, you do have Superman and Wonder Woman continue to fight against one another. And it does look like inside the mind of Clark Kent that he's basically losing that battle. That sooner or later he is going to turn into Superman Doomsday or Doomsday Superman. Either way, it does seem like all hope is lost. But that is the moment you have Batman call in and Batman says, yo, the kryptonite gas is gone from the Earth. Superman may be able to actually fight against the infection full strength now. And just like that, bam, he was able to get rid of the infection. Not completely, but to push it back just enough to have complete control and to look normal again in front of Wonder Woman. To let her know, hey, I'm back for right now. I still have the infection inside of me, but I'm back. Let's go. It's time to save the Earth. But here comes the big problem though. That machine that Cyborg Superman was making out in space was a teleporter. It opens up. And of course, what comes through? The biggest ship you've seen this whole event. And of course, who is on that biggest ship? Brainiac. Brainiac has arrived to Earth to begin his mission to conquer the Earth. And so now it's Superman, the Justice League, all the heroes have to work together to fight against Brainiac to save the Earth once again. Now, when it comes to the fourth chapter of this storyline, it actually takes place moments before Batman was able to get the kryptonite gas out of the air so that Superman has a fair chance of fighting against the kryptonite gas and a fight against the Doomsday infection. And so we pick up with Lois Lane. Now, with that being said, we do see Lois Lane right now basically helping Brainiac take over the Earth. Because you have to remember that right now she's working with Brainiac. Now, if you're wondering how in the world that happened, let me explain. It all took place in the storyline called Psywar. Now, Psywar was a big Superman storyline where you had a new organization known as Hive that came out of nowhere. Now, Hive was working for Brainiac, but Hive was looking for the 20 people that Brainiac gave powers to. Now, with that being said, one of the 20 people that gained psychic abilities thanks to Brainiac gave their powers over to Lois Lane so that Lois Lane could warn the public about Brainiac coming back, but also how Hive, this new evil organization, is trying to capture 20 people to help out Brainiac. Now, with that being said, Lois Lane did not warn the public because right after she gained her powers, she fell in a coma and other things kept happening over and over and over. And while those things kept happening, well, Brainiac finally took over her body. And so we see inside her mind right now, she's trying to break free to get control of her body, but unfortunately she can't. Brainiac has control over her body now and using her body as a way to direct the army on Earth on how to attack the Earth in different ways. Now, we do pick up with Batman and the smartest people on the planet Earth. Now, remember, like I said earlier, the fourth chapter, this chapter, it takes place right before Batman is able to get rid of the kryptonite gas in the air. And so right now you have Batman, Lex Luthor, and a few other characters trying to figure out how in the world are they going to remove the kryptonite gas in the air to give Superman a fighting chance. Because right now, He's still Superman Doomsday at the moment at this point in the storyline. Speaking of Superman, we do see him right now helping out Red Hood and the Outlaws fight against more robots by Brainiac. Now remember, like I said, once again, this takes place right before the kryptonite gas. And so we see a Superman Doomsday helping out Red Hood and the Outlaws. But remember our first video when it came to Superman Doom. When Doomsday first appeared back again on Earth, well, apparently everything around him kept dying, catching on fire, different things kept happening. He basically was a walking tank wreaking havoc wherever he went to, and he did not have to do anything at all because he had some kind of aura around him that would cause destruction. And so with that being said, you have Superman having that same aura right now where everything around him is falling apart, people getting sick, people getting hurt, and so you have Red Hood and the Outlaws in the public asking Superman to leave because right now he's causing problems left and right. Now, getting back over to Batman, we do see Batman and his team still working on the way to get rid of that kryptonite gas. Now, with that being said, we come to find out that they are holding on to a special person, and that special person is, of course, the Phantom King. Now remember, the Phantom King is the first person ever to be locked up in the Phantom Zone. And so with that being said, Superman has fought against the Phantom King a couple times here and there in the New 52. But the Phantom King is right now locked up in some kind of device that Batman made. But he is breaking free, meaning that if he breaks free, the heroes have another problem on their hands besides Brainiac and Superman Doom. They'll also have Phantom King on their hands as well. Now, you do have Harrow, who is the leader of this organization known as the Tower, kind of use her powers to contain Phantom King just long enough for Batman to find a way to finally get rid of the kryptonite gas. Now, getting back over to Superman, we actually do see him meeting up with Martian the Manhunter, where of course he does continue to help Martian the Manhunter fight against more robots that were made by Brainiac. Now here comes the big problem though. Martian the Manhunter wants Superman to leave the Earth again, because to Martian the Manhunter, he's kind of like, dude, you're causing us a lot of problems right now. Brainiac is attacking, and right now the whole league is worried that sooner or later that infection inside of you is going to finally take over and you are going to wreak havoc across the earth alongside Brainiac. And so with that being said, it's Martian the Manhunter telling him to leave. But that is the moment you have Ghost Soldier appear. Now, Ghost Soldier has the ability to make other people intangible. But either way, you have Ghost Soldier bring over Baka. Now, Baka is a character who first appeared back in the early days of the New 52. Now, when it comes to Baka, he is just a kid who has the ability to turn into a dinosaur-like creature. Now, Superman kind of took up the role as big brother for Baka. And so when Baka does get infected by the Doomsday aura around Superman and he is forced to turn into his dinosaur form, it kind of motivates Superman to keep fighting against the infection and to hopefully beat it and hopefully save the Earth from Brainiac. Now, getting back to Batman and his team, we actually pick up at the moment where you had Wonder Woman call up Batman to tell him he needs to find a way to get rid of the kryptonite gas in the air to help out Superman. Because like earlier in the video, they all said this, Earth is better with Superman rather than without Superman. And so right now it's Wonder Woman telling Batman, you need to figure out how in the world you are going to save Superman and the entire Earth at this moment. Now we do pick up with Superman and Baka fighting together against the robots made by Brainiac. Now, with all that being said, you do have our two characters actually run into Lois Lane. Now, for Superman, he's shocked to see that Brainiac has control over Lois Lane. And so with that, you have Superman begin the process of talking to Lois Lane to help her break free, because he knows if he talks to her and help her mind fight against Brainiac's mind, he could possibly help her break free, which of course it does work. She does break free and she does turn back to normal. Now you would think they would have a heart-to-heart moment, because remember, in the New 52, they never dated. They do not like each other like that because Superman is dating Wonder Woman. But right before he's able to talk to Lois Lane, he realized that the Doomsday infection is taken over, and so he has to fly away to basically protect Lois Lane. But to go ahead and wrap up this video, we actually do pick up right at the moment where you have Batman being able to get rid of the kryptonite gas in the air. And with him doing that, of course, means that Superman is back. And so is Krypto the Superdog, because apparently he was also infected by the kryptonite gas. But either way, now both dog and man are back together once again to help the rest of the heroes fight against Brainiac. And so where we are going to end today's comic book video is right where we left off at in the last chapter. Brainiac arriving to Earth and getting ready to take over the Earth. And so with that being said, I do hope. Okay, so getting back into our coverage over Superman Doom, we actually pick up with Red Hood and the Outlaws trying to save some innocent people. Now, the reason why we are opening up with these characters is because it's DC Comics telling us or reminding us in this new chapter, hey, Brainiac is here. Brainiac has arrived to Earth and he is beginning the process of collecting the minds of the people across the entire Earth. And so with that, as soon as Red Hood and the Outlaws are able to save some innocent people, well, that is the moment their minds begin to get attacked by Brainiac. Brainiac is beginning to take over their minds. And so Brainiac is beginning his invasion. It is happening all over the world. No matter where you're at, things are about to get worse. And it all comes down to Superman and his friends to stop Brainiac. But then we jump over to the Fortress of Solitude, where we pick up with Batman and Lex Luthor, who are using it right now kind of like their base of operations. Now, they're not alone. They are with other people who are known for being very smart in the DC universe at this point in the New 52. Now, Batman is freaking out because he wants Superman to go ahead and take out Brainiac because Gotham City is under attack. But on top of that right there, you did have Harrow and Ghost Soldier tell Batman Brainiac needs to be put on the back burner. And the reason why? Because their main goal now is to take down the Phantom King. Because remember, the Phantom King is a very powerful character, but he also was the first person locked away in the Phantom Zone. Now, with that being said, the Phantom King's goal is to kill Superman, but to kill everything and everyone that Superman loves. And so right now, their goal is to hopefully stop the Phantom King first. Now, we do pick up with the star of the book, which of course is Superman. Now, you do have Superman kind of going around Metropolis, really the world, and trying to save as many people as he can. Now, while he is doing that, you do have Batman actually call up Superman to tell Superman, hey, you need to get out of the range of Brainiac because right now he's too powerful, which means that sooner or later he will take over your mind as well. So you need to get out of his range. Now, for Superman, he's kind of like, yes, Batman is right. Batman is usually making sense when it comes to things like this. But here comes the big question though. If Brainiac is so powerful, why hasn't he already taken over the mind of Superman? Why not go ahead and do it now? And so right now, that is Superman's current question. why hasn't Brainiac made his big move yet? What is he actually planning to do to Superman? But then you have the book remind us that Lois Lane is a good guy again. Now, the reason why I say a good guy again, because in earlier chapters of Superman Doomed, she was a bad guy. She was working with Brainiac. And matter of fact, it was her that kind of helped Brainiac get into this position. Now, if you're wondering how in the world she had powers, let me explain. So, we had learned back in Superman Cyborg storyline that 20 people were selected by Brainiac when he first arrived to Earth. Now, with that being said, those 20 people also gained psychic abilities. Now, one of the 20 did give their powers over to Lois Lane, hoping that she could use the powers, but to also use her reputation as a way to warn the world about Brainiac coming back sooner or later. And right now, of course, he's here again. Now, of course, she was unable to actually warn the world because she went through a lot of different things. But after those things, her mind was completely taken over by Brainiac. And so ever since the beginning of Superman Doom up to our last video, she was working with him. And matter of fact, it was thanks to her that kind of helped Brainiac get into this position. Now, in our last video, Superman was able to help her break free. And so now she is a good guy, but she's trying to use her powers to resist the mind control of Brainiac. But at the same time, it's her telling Superman, we can still win. We have a team. We can find a way. We just have to find the way to win. Now, you do have Superman actually go over to the Watchtower, of course, the home of the Justice League that is out in space. Now, with that being said, this is Superman trying to see who does he still have that could possibly help him. He knows he has Lois Lane and Martian the Manhunter because they have psychic abilities to protect them from Brainiac's mind control. Now, Batman, Lex Luthor, Harrow, Ghost Soldier, they're still inside the Fortress of Solitude, and so they are protected by Kryptonian technology. Now, we also come to find out that Wonder Woman is also alive as well, because she is a demigod. Oh, and Steel and Lana Lang, they're also alive because they were out in space away from Brainiac mind control attack. Now, you do have everyone coming together to figure out what could they do to actually stop Brainiac. Now, you have Lana Lang tell everyone that she just learned that Brainiac is connecting all of the minds of the people of Earth together. Now, to most of our heroes here, it seems like Brainiac could be looking for something. But then you have Lois Lane say no. What he's actually doing is trying to connect all the minds to make a very powerful psychic attack. Now, we have no idea what he is going to do with this possible psychic attack, but of course, that seems very serious. Now, you do have some members of this team say, well, why don't we take out his mothership? The problem is, though, every single mind of the people of Earth who is being mind controlled by Brainiac are connected to that mothership. And so they have no idea what could possibly happen if they do get rid of the mothership. But then you have Superman say, I have a plan. Now, we do come to find out what is Superman's big plan. What is his master plan? And we come to find out his master plan is to move the Earth and Brainiac's mothership into the Phantom Zone. Now, that is not a bad idea, because even though the Phantom Zone is holding a lot of powerful creatures that could technically wreck the Earth, but at the same time, in the Phantom Zone, time moves differently. Matter of fact, there's almost no time at all in the Phantom Zone. And so it's Superman basically saying, if we move the Earth and Brainiac's mothership into the Phantom Zone, we can buy us some time to figure out how to stop Brainiac. Now, of course, Brainiac is not going to let that happen. And matter of fact, he shuts that plan down so quickly, it's kind of like, did you really think that you could outsmart Brainiac that easily? Like, this dude is one of the smartest people in DC Comics. there's no way he'll be able to let you do something that big and that important. But see, things get only worse for our heroes. And the reason why I say that is because when Brainiac had shut down the portal that Superman was going to use as a way to move the Earth and Brainiac's mothership into the Phantom Zone, when Brainiac shut down that portal, it did let two characters who were originally trapped in the Phantom Zone escape back to Earth. And those two characters are Mongol and Nun. Now, these two characters, they're able to go toe-to-toe with Superman. And now you're saying there's two of them on Earth. So now there is another possible threat on the Earth that could give Superman and his friends a problem. And so now the big question is, how can Superman stop Brainiac, but also stop these guys as well? And let's not forget, the Phantom King is still out there as well. There are so many different threats out there that Superman must handle with his friends. And so when we jump into the second chapter, the big question is now, what is Mongol and Nun going to do to the Earth alongside with Brainiac, who's also attacking the Earth? Well, here's your answer. Nothing. Nothing at all. Because when Mongol and Nun realize that Brainiac is trying to collect the Earth, they're kind of like, nope, we're out. Let's get out of here right now. We are not going to be collected by Brainiac. And so you have Nun and Mongol go right back into the Phantom Zone to escape because they realize this is a bad idea. Brainiac is too powerful. Let's go right now. Bye. Now, we do jump back into space, and the reason why is because we pick up with Superman and Martian the Manhunter, who are right now looking for Lana Lang, Steel, and also Cyborg, because they were the last three characters that were trapped inside the Watchtower, and the Watchtower was used as part of Superman's plan to move the Earth and move Brainiac's mothership into the Phantom Zone. But when Brainiac shut that plan down, well, the Watchtower got wrecked. There was a massive feedback and all that energy had wrecked the Watchtower. Now, with that being said, you do have Superman and Martian the Manhunter do get attacked by more robots that were made by Brainiac. And they were able to get rid of those robots very easily. And when they do, Superman and Martian the Manhunter were able to find the escape pod that Cyborg, Steel, and Lana Lang are using. But then we come to find out that Steel and Cyborg are both injured. Now, Steel, he is badly injured. And so with that is Superman saying, okay, I need to get this escape pod back down to the Fortress of Solitude for two reasons. One, to give Steel and Cyborg some medical help. But two, because the Fortress of Solitude is using Kryptonian technology, it will protect their minds from Brainiac's mind control attack. Now, of course, that is the moment you have Cyborg say, no, I am going to stay behind to buy you guys some time. And the reason why Cyborg is saying that because somebody has to protect the mind of Superman while he is taking the escape pod down to Earth. And so Martian the Manhunter was going to do that because he has psychic abilities. He can protect Superman's mind and Lana Lang and Steel and Cyborg all the way down to Earth. But if Martian the Manhunter does get taken over by Brainiac, it's basically game over for our heroes because then they lose their most powerful psychic character. And so it's Cyborg saying, I am going to buy you guys some time. One less mind to protect as you travel back down to Earth. I'm going to stay here and fight against these robots. Go ahead and take Steel and Lana Lang down to the fortress and get Steel some medical help. I'm a cyborg. I can repair myself. And once you guys are in the clear, I will just teleport back down to Earth. The problem is though, while Superman and Martian the Manhunter are taking the escape pod of Steel and Lana Lang down to Earth, you have Cyborg fight against the robots of Brainiac. The problem is though, as he's fighting against the robots of Brainiac, his mind gets taken over by Brainiac. And so now our heroes have lost Cyborg as well. Now we do pick up with the rest of the heroes meeting up in the Fortress of Solitude. Now with that being said, this is the moment you have Lana Lang and Steel tell everyone what they know about Brainiac so far. How apparently Brainiac is not going to kill anybody at all. And the reason why, because he is collecting things from every single person across the earth. But once he is done collecting things from every single person across the earth, then he'll kill people left and right. And so that right there freaks out Superman, because the first two cities that were attacked by Brainiac were Smallville and Metropolis, which means that Brainiac was collecting things from them first. And so when people start dying off left and right across the earth, the first two cities to lose people will be Metropolis and Smallville. And so it's Superman saying he needs a new plan. And his new plan is very dangerous. And the reason why I say it's very dangerous is because it's Superman finally saying, I am going to release the beast. Because remember, in the early chapters of Superman Doom that we covered, it was all about Superman turning into Doomsday because he was infected by Doomsday. And so with that is him saying, if we are going to win, I have to let go. I have to become Doomsday Superman once again, but actually let the beast control my mind and body to hopefully stop Brainiac. It is the only way, because Superman Doom is so powerful that it could possibly be the only way to stop Brainiac. And so it's Superman saying goodbye to his girl, Wonder Woman, but also saying, all right, Superman Doom, take over once again, and hopefully you can stop Brainiac and save the entire Earth. But things only get crazier, because then we see Wonder Woman go back into the Phantom Zone. Now you would think the reason why she is going back into the Phantom Zone is to basically recruit other characters to help them out to fight against Brainiac, but no. In reality, the reason why she is going into the Phantom Zone is to make a trade with Mongol, because Mongol has something very important, and that something is World, a world that's basically a weapon. And it's Wonder Woman hoping to use that world as a weapon once again to help them defeat Brainiac. And so it's her saying, let's make a trade, Mongol. Now, the next chapter of Superman Doom is very weird. And the reason why I say it is very weird because the next chapter is a Supergirl book. But that is not the reason why it's weird. It's weird because it feels like DC forgot about Supergirl, because Supergirl only appeared twice in this event. And matter of fact, the two times she appeared, she was a Red Lantern. And with that being said, this event was so long. At the very beginning of this event, Supergirl was a Red Lantern. But by this point in Superman Doom, she's no longer a Red Lantern. And matter of fact, she just arrived back to Earth. So apparently she was gone for most of the event, which makes sense because she is or was a Red Lantern. Now, here is another problem with this book. It's where it takes place. Now, imagine if you were back in 2014, 2015, reading Superman Doom, and you're collecting every single book as it comes out. And the last book was the two big cliffhangers. Superman saying he is going to turn himself into Doomsday. And Wonder Woman saying, I am going to make a trade with Mongol in the Phantom Zone for World. And so you got left behind on those two cliffhangers right there. And the next book to come out is Supergirl. But Supergirl's book doesn't even pick up where those last two cliffhangers left off at. Instead, it's a review. It's basically A guy named Michael, who Supergirl had crashed into his apartment, is getting her caught up with everything that has happened so far. But the last thing that's mentioned in this book, right before her big cliffhanger, is Lois Lane fighting against Wonder Woman. But that took place in our last video, which means by this point in this video, Lois Lane and Wonder Woman, they're allies again. And so it's weird to read this book and be like, oh, it's Supergirl realizing that Lois Lane tried to fight against Wonder Woman. That is crazy and huge. Oh wait, that happened a while back. Supergirl is still not all the way caught up. But then to wrap up this book, that is the moment you have Supergirl realize what is happening to the Earth right now. The Earth is being attacked by Brainiac. Now remember, Supergirl has met Brainiac's army before back on Krypton, and she was lucky to get away right before she was collected by Brainiac. Now with that being said, that is not the only reason why she is freaking out, because when she looks up in the sky, she does see Cyborg Superman. And remember, in the New 52, Cyborg Superman is her father. Remember, her father never died. He was taken by Brainiac and turned into Cyborg Superman. And so right now, is her getting ready to fight against her father. Here's the big problem though. She has no idea that is her father. And when it comes to her father, he has no idea that's his daughter because Brainiac had wiped his mind. And so right now, it's about to be Supergirl fighting against Cyborg Superman one more time. Now, moving past that weird chapter, we actually do pick back up with the supporting cast we saw earlier before that Supergirl book. So you have Batman, Martian the Manhunter, Lois Lane, Lana Lang, and Steel all right now inside the Fortress of Solitude, where right now you have Lana Lang freaking out. Because remember what Steel said earlier, Brainiac is collecting everything he can from every single person across the earth. But once he's done collecting something from somebody, that person dies. And the first two cities that he attacked was Metropolis and Smallville. Smallville being the first. And Lana Lang, her parents, they lived in Smallville. And so they're dying right now because Brainiac is done collecting everything he needs from them. And so she is freaking out. On top of that, this team comes to find out that Superman has turned himself back into Superman Doomsday. Because to Martian the Manhunter, Superman did that so that he'll be strong enough to actually bring down Brainiac's mothership. Now, of course, that is the moment you have Batman as Martian the Manhunter to place the map of the mothership in the mind of Superman. The problem is though, you have Martian the Manhunter tell Batman that he can do it, but because Superman is full of rage, we have no idea if he will actually use the map. And so you have Lois Lane say she can use her powers as a way to kind of give Clark Kent some kind of control over his Superman Doomsday form to hopefully use the map and to finally bring down the mothership of Brainiac. Now you do have Lois Lane being able to connect her mind to Superman's mind. Now when she does that, you basically have Lois Lane tell Superman, listen, you need to get control over your Doomsday form. Let me help you. Because right now you have a lot of people hoping that you can save them. They're counting on you, your cousin, Supergirl, your dog, Crypto the Superdog, your two closest friends, Perry White and Jimmy Olsen, and Lana Lang. Her parents are dying now because Brainiac is done collecting everything he needs from them. And so right now you have 7 billion people hoping that you can save their lives. They're hoping that you'll come in at the very last minute and stop Brainiac. But for you to do that, you need to get some kind of control over your Superman Doomsday form. So here's the map from Martian the Manhunter about how to go around the mothership. But on top of that, gain control over this form. And when you find Brainiac, make sure you kick his butt. Now, once Superman makes it onto the mothership of Brainiac, you then have Brainiac begin the process of trying to take over the mind of Superman. Now, Superman knows that Brainiac is trying to take over his mind. But the problem is, though, Brainiac is a very powerful psychic. And so it's even hard for Superman to fight against the mind control of Brainiac. But either way, though, this is Brainiac beginning the process of lying to Superman to hopefully convince Superman to give up. What I mean is this right here. You have Brainiac tell Superman, listen, what I'm trying to do is recreate the universe in a better version, give everyone a paradise, because this universe, you will not have your paradise. There's too much bad things happening across the universe. And you didn't have Brainiac show Superman a paradise where Lana Lang and Steel are a couple. They're married. They're in love in a peaceful world. But you didn't have Superman say, no, that can still happen. That can still happen. You're saying it can happen because of how much evil is across the universe. But that can still happen, Brainiac. You may think it can happen, but you don't have hope. We have hope. That can still happen. We can change the universe. And so it's Brainiac trying to find different ways to attack the mind of Superman. Now, with Brainiac being able to probe the mind of Superman, Brainiac was able to learn that Lana Lang likes Steel, and Steel likes Lana Lang. And that was all Brainiac needed to find the minds of Lana Lang and Steel. Because remember, they're hiding in the Fortress of Solitude that is protected by Kryptonian technology. But once he was able to find their minds, he was able to break through that barrier and take over the minds of Lana Lang and Steel. Oh, things get even worse, because that is the moment you have Brainiac sent in Cyborg Superman, the father of Supergirl, and he begins the process of fighting against Martian the Manhunter and Batman. And Batman cannot go toe-to-toe with Cyborg Superman. But luckily for Batman, that is when Supergirl appears to actually save him and begin the process of fighting against Cyborg Superman. Now, getting back to the mothership of Brainiac, you do have Brainiac try to find a different way to attack the mind of Superman. Now, with that being said, though, he does use Supergirl this time around. And the reason why? Because Supergirl, in the early days of the New 52, she was wild. She was crazy. She was reckless. Because the only thing she cared about was bringing back Krypton. That was it. But of course, once she realized that she cannot bring Krypton back, she moved on. She lost her reckless side. But to Brainiac, she feels like it's still in there. He feels like Supergirl is still so reckless that she is about to kill her own father. And that right there is a huge bomb to drop. Because Superman had no idea that Cyborg Superman is his uncle, but also Supergirl's father. And so now you're saying, as their fight, there could be a possibility Supergirl could kill her own father. Now, you do have Brainiac bring up some old prophecy, how a child's going to kill this horrible monster, but once the child does kill that horrible monster, the child becomes the horrible monster. Basically saying that once Supergirl kills her father, she'll come after Superman Doomsday and then kill him, and then she'll become the next Doomsday to continue the trend of Doomsday always being around in DC Comics. But either way, that is the moment you have Superman say, no, you don't know Supergirl. She has changed over time. That reckless side is gone. She will not kill her father. And that is when we see that Supergirl has not killed her father. She just easily knocked him out to prove to Brainiac and to us as the readers that Supergirl has grown a lot over the time in the New 52. Now, you do have Lois Lane using her psychic powers as a way to read the mind of Cyborg Superman. But here comes the big problem though. Cyborg Superman is mostly machine and also protected by Brainiac's technology. Now, with that being said, it does give Brainiac another way to take over someone else's mind. Not Lois Lane, but Batman. Because Batman was right there next to Lois Lane and Cyborg Superman. Oh yeah, by the way, Supergirl mind is also taken over because she was right next to Cyborg Superman and Lois Lane. But for Batman, Brainiac has to work a tad bit harder. Now, what Brainiac does to try to take over the mind of Batman is to show Batman a perfect world, a perfect Gotham City. Now, while Brainiac is doing that to Batman, Brainiac is still trying to take over the mind of Superman. And because Batman is the best friend of Superman, it's Brainiac hoping that once he has Batman, he can then get Superman. And what he does, he shows both of them a world that's perfect. There's no crime, especially in Gotham City, one of the worst cities in DC Comics, and that Batman was able to retire. And if any problem does pop up, Superman is still around to take care of those small problems. But Batman was able to retire because Gotham is so perfect and everything. It's Brainiac trying to show Batman a possible paradise world, a possible future that he could have down the road so that he can take over Batman's mind, which he does. But he's also showing this perfect world to Superman, hoping to get Superman's mind as well. But Brainiac forgot one thing. When it comes to Superman in the New 52, his perfect world, he still needs his girlfriend, not Lois Lane, but Wonder Woman. And because she's not around, because she's in the Phantom Zone, Brainiac was unable to take over Superman's mind. And so he failed. He got Batman, but not Superman. But let's not forget about Wonder Woman, because she went into the Phantom Zone to basically make a trade with Mongol. Now, when I say a trade, I really mean more of her saying, I am going to use World with your permission or without your permission. And that is the moment we come to find out it was without his permission. But she does use it, and she does blast through the Phantom Zone, through the Earth, straight into the mothership of Brainiac. And when she does that, oh man, you have Brainiac freaking out because he's like, hey, tell her to stop, because if this ship blows up, I'll die, you'll die. So why not tell her to stop? And you have Superman say, no, if I die and you die with me, the Earth is saved. And so that's a cost I will take. So no, I will not tell her to stop. I will tell her to continue to blast away to hopefully get rid of you and this ship as well. Now, getting back to Lois Lane, you do have Lois Lane begin the process of actually trying to take over the mind of Brainiac. Because with Wonder Woman using World to attack the mothership of Brainiac, he's weaker now. And of course, to Lois Lane, she thinks she has the advantage to actually take over the mind of Brainiac to shut him down. But then you have Superman step in. Now, when he does, this is Superman trying to show the origin of Brainiac to Lois Lane to explain why he's doing all of this for. He's trying to get enough power to recreate the universe in his own image. We already knew that, but now we know the actual reason why. And that actual reason is because he's trying to bring back his dead son and his dead wife. Because thanks to his mistakes on his home world that killed his wife, his son, his friends, and their families, he's trying to recreate the universe to bring all those people back. And so you have Superman say, Lois, are we in the right or are we in the wrong? To basically stop him from getting what he wants. He's trying to bring people back to life. Should we allow this man to sacrifice our world for his? Or should we stop him and not give him the ability to bring his people back. Because right now it's kind of like, who's more evil, him or us? But of course you have Lois kind of like, I understand where you're coming from, but we cannot allow him to sacrifice our world for his. Now, while they're talking, you do have Brainiac begin the process of attacking Lois Lane's mind to steal the powers that apparently she stole from one of the guys in an earlier storyline that gave her her powers. And Brainiac's hoping that once he gets her powers, he can technically begin the process of recreating the whole universe in his image. Now, you do have Brainiac try to steal the powers of Lois Lane, but while he's doing that, you have Lois Lane actually give her powers over to Superman. On top of that right there, you also have Lois Lane give every single ounce of power that Brainiac has stole from the people of Earth over to Superman. And so right now, Superman is supercharged. He's supercharged in a new way we have never seen him supercharged before in the New 52. But either way, Superman Doomsday is so strong, so powerful, that he is now able to bring down Mothership to free everyone on the planet Earth from the control of Brainiac. And so this is how Superman is able to actually defeat Brainiac. But here comes the next big problem though. Not really a problem, more of kind of like, this is a small goodbye for Superman. What I mean is that with Superman being so powerful and getting rid of the mothership, something else that is so powerful, a black hole opens up. And with this black hole opening up, of course, Brainiac, Superman, and Brainiac's mothership goes through the black hole. And so we are left to believe that Superman is now dead. Brainiac is now dead. And also, the world is safe once again thanks to Superman. Now, the way Superman Dooms actually ends is that we have no idea what happened to Superman. We know that he fell in that black hole, and so we are left to believe that he is dead. But on top of that, we come to find out Brainiac is not dead. Matter of fact, Brainiac wakes up in some kind of new place. And when I say new place, I really mean Brainiac is able to see the different timelines of the DC universe. And this right here leads us right into a horrible DC event well known as Convergence. But with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But later, guys, I'll see y'all next time.